The Internet of Things, or IoT, is influencing our lifestyle from the way we react to the way we behave. From air conditioners that you can control with your smartphone, to smart cars providing the shortest route, or your smartwatch which is tracking your daily activities. IoT is a giant network of connected devices. These devices gather and share data about how they are used and the environment in which they are operated.
So, good morning and have a nice day, class. So, before we enter for our discussion for today, first, I will introduce myself. My name is Christian Umal. And how are you today, class? Nice. It seems good. So, for our discussion for today, we tackled about the long-term digital preservation of information with the subtopic for the 3 fundamental preservation strategies. So, first, who will share your insight or opinion about the long-term digital preservation of information? Okay, Mr. Wan. Nice, very good. So, the long-term digital preservation of information aims to ensure the accessibility, authenticity, intelligibility, and integrity of a digital object for long period that may be unlimited. And it is a big challenge for institutions to seeking or to preserve their sensitive, patrimonial, or scientific information, including the digital library community, data centers, and archivists. So, for our ongoing change and evolution of computer platform, including the software and hardware, we present the potential of a challenge for a digital preservation. And for our subtopic, the 3 fundamental digital preservation strategies. 3 fundamental preservation strategies are refreshment, migration, and emulation. These approaches are designed to preserve the integrity of digital objects and to retain the ability for user to create, display, and use them into face of continually changing technology. So, the first fundamental is refreshing. Refreshing refers to copy digital information from one long-term storage medium to another of the same type with no change, walang pagbabago whatsoever in the bit stream from decaying 4mm data type to a new 4mm data type from an older CD to a new CDRW. So, for the other words, modified refreshing are copying to another medium of a similar or enough type that no change is made in the bit of pattern. The concern to the application and operating system using the data. Next, in other words, excuse me. In other words, refreshing is a necessary component of any successful digital preservation program. But it is not itself complete program. It potentially addresses both decay and obsolescence issues related to the storage media. Because, or bakit? Dahil physical storage device decay and technology change make older storage and device so inaccessibility to new computers and ongoing from or to refreshing is likely to be necessary for years to come. So for example, I advise my client to keep electronic backup or their files on their computers because a hard drive and the cloud should occasionally to be checked see if the is still functional. When the drive becomes several years old, the data should be refreshed by moving in a new hard drive. So, ito is isang example ng refreshing fundamental. And for the other words, refreshing involved periodically moving a file from one physical storage medium to another to avoid the obsolescence or degradation to the storage medium. Next is the migration. Migration is bordered and picture concept than refreshing or identifying the range of options for digital preservation, and it is a set of or organized tasks designed to achieve the project or period transfer to digital material from one hard drive or software configuration to another, or from one generation of computer technology to subsequent generation. So, the purpose of migration is to preserve the integrity of digital objects and to retain the ability for clients to receive and to display the information and otherwise use them into face of constantly changing technology. Migration also include refreshing as means of digital preservation. But preservation, but difference from it in the sense that it is not always possible to make an exact digital copy or replica of a database or other information. Objects as hard drive and software change and still maintain the compatibility of the object with the new generation of the technology. In the other words, migration is periodically convert data from one hard drive or software configuration to another, or from one generation to computer technology to a subsequent generation, and preserving the essential characteristic of the data. And also, migration theoretically goes beyond addressing availability by including the conservation of data to avoid obsolescence not only of the physical storage medium, but of the encoding and format of the data. However, the impact of migration complex file format has not been widely tested. So, in other words, it will gradually brings file into narrower variety of standard file format. Based on my research, migration of a data helps develop more robust standards, clear workflows, and the better practice. While migration can be a painful process, and it does not have to be, it is well planned. Kailangan nakaplano yung information, or in this fundamental. So, for the other meaning of migration, migration is a type of a data or a copy data or convert the data from one technology to another, whether hard drive or software, preserving the essential characteristic of a data. And the last part of our discussion or this topic is the emulation. Emulation is similar to migration, but focus on the application software rather than the file containing the data. Emulation combines software and hardware to reduce the essential characteristic of one computer to another, to allowing program designed for particular environment to create in a different one. So, in short, emulation requires the creation of emulator program that related code and instruction from the computing environment, so it can be properly executed in another. And emulation requires the creation of emulator. Sabi ko nga kanina, programs that translate code and instruction between systems. Under emulator, older data will run on contemporary computers. So, a widely known general purpose of emulator or emulation is the one built into recent version of the Apple Macintosh. Ito ay isa sa example ng emulation. operating system that allows that continuous of use of program based on the earlier series of CPU no longer used in Apple computer. So, however, most emulator available today were written to allow computer games written for absolute hardware or run to modern computers, and to combine software and hardware to reduce in all essential characteristic the performance of another computer of a different design, allowing program or media design for particular environment to create in a different, usually newer environment. So, the emulation concept has been tested in a several projects with general promising results. And also, widely known general purpose emulator is the one built into the present version of Apple Macintosh. Ito nga yung example kanina. Operating system allow the continuous of program based on the CPU. And the last part, emulation concept has been tested in a several projects with general promising result. However, less widespread use of emulation as long-term digital preservation strategy to require the creation of consortia to perform the technical step necessary to create functioning emulator, as well as the administrative work of assemble, specification, and documentation of the system to be emulated and obtain the intellectual property right of relevant hardware and software. So, dito sa na-discuss natin ito sa 3 fundamental strategy is pare-parehas silang mahalaga na part ng digital preservation of information or the long-term digital preservation of information. Kasi hindi mabubuo or hindi magpa-function na maganda yung paglalagay natin or paglalagay natin ng mga information dun sa mga computers natin. Kung sakaling ang isa or wala. Kung ang isa dito sa 3 fundamental natin ay hindi maayos or wala dun sa gagawin nating preserve ng mga information natin na pangmatagalan. So, kailangan ay mapag-aralan natin at gawin natin ng tama itong tatlong mahalagang fundamental ng long-term of preservation. That's all, class. Thank you and goodbye.